Hello. So I'm looking at two albums here, and these aren't recent purchases. Um, they're just two albums that I've been listening to this week. So I've said before, I don't get a whole lot of time to actually listen to CDs between work and family stuff and all the rest of it. Actually, sitting down and being able to listen to music, a CD at least, is kind of in between times, kind of like the half an hour before I leave for work. I'll usually have a bit of time then, or maybe late at night before I go to bed or something like that. But anyway, over the last week, I think the last video I did, I showed an Outkast greatest hits collection that I had just purchased secondhand, and so that got me into listening to Outkast. And so for the last week, I've been listening to The Love Below a lot. So we'll talk about that first. So if you don't know this album, it's a double album. See, I bought this for $2 back in, I think it was about a year or two ago. I actually owned this new when it came out back in, what was it, 2004, 2003? 2003. I owned this new, but I sold it or something and repurchased it secondhand. And so, yeah, it's a double album. So Outkast is a hip-hop rap duo of Andre 3000, that a guy, and Big Boy. I don't know what his real name is, Big Boy. Dre as well, isn't he Dre as well? A lot of Dre's. Oh no, Antoine, that's right, Antoine Patton. Antoine Big Boy Patton. And so, as I talked in the last video, they made, certainly the album before this, which was Stankonia, was a pretty huge album from my memory. That song Miss Jackson was a pretty big single in the early 2000s. And then before that, they also had, what was the one before that? Oh geez, like I'm not gonna, I talked about this in the last video. Go watch that if you want to go back through the Outkast discography. But anyway, when they got to 2003, they decided, for whatever reason, to make a double album, but as separate, almost kind of solo albums. So The Love Below is all Andre 3000. I think there's a few little bits and pieces where you hear Big Boy pop up. And likewise, Speakerboxxx is Big Boy's offering. When it came out, again, it was a pretty huge album from my memory. I don't know how much it sold. I would actually be interested to see how many albums it sold. But I remember the first time I heard a song of this was obviously the big single, still a huge single. You still hear it played a lot. And that was Hey Ya. And I heard that on the, I guess what in America you would call college radio. We don't call college, we call it university here. I don't know why. Because obviously in America they say university. I don't know what the differentiation is between college and university in American English. But when you say college in New Zealand, college means high school. But anyway, on the university radio station here, 95 BFM, one morning they played Hey Ya. And this was before the album was released. It was kind of, just first time was played. And I was kind of like blown away by that song because it was so equal parts poppy and really catchy, but also very unlike anything else that was going at that time, or even so. It's like a very unique kind of sounding song. And as times passed, I've heard that song so many times that I'm kind of sick of it, and it's kind of in that list of songs that I would never have to listen to again. I would be okay with that because it's just, it was everywhere for a while there, wasn't it? I'm just trying to see here if I can see the commercial performance. I just want to see how much it sold. Certifications, that would be it, wouldn't it? Well, at least in the US, it went 13 times platinum. So was that 13 million album sales, I assume? That's how it works, isn't it? UK, 3 times platinum. New Zealand 2 times platinum. Australia 2 times platinum, and then across Europe and Japan and stuff it also sold. So that's pretty massive. 10 million plus album sales worldwide. Anyway, so it was massive, is my point. I think I'm not really alone in this. For me, this album really is just The Love Below. I barely listen to Speakerboxxx. Speakerboxxx is a lot more just kind of straightforward hip hop, southern hip hop. And whenever I talk about this kind of stuff, I feel like a fraud, because I really am not really a fan of rap music, hip hop. And when I say I'm not a fan, as in, it's not like I automatically dislike it. It's just, it really kind of doesn't do it for me. It needs a little something extra to it. I will say that kind of, this is a good illustration of that. The first time I ever heard Outkast, this was before Love Below Speakerboxxx, was the single B.O.B., Bombs Over Baghdad, which was about 1999. And I remember I was living in a flat at the time, a shared flat with, it was me and my ex-girlfriend and another, we were about 19 or 20 years old. And there was another girl, like, there was some of our friends were around. So it was like late teens, early 20s. And I remember the girl I'm talking about especially, I remember her, she loved hip hop. She liked like Snoop Dogg and Tupac and stuff like that. And at that age, I was much more just rock music and only rock music and, metal. Even electronic music I didn't really like at that stage. But I remember we were watching, the TV was on in the background, and then the music video for Bombs Over Baghdad came on, and it kind of like instantly caught my attention. The song, the speed of it, and the beat, and his vocal delivery is like a really fast, and the video itself was kind of bizarre as well, quite strange, quite psychedelic. And the chorus or the hook, the Bombs Over Baghdad part, I was like, wow, this is cool. And I remember everyone else in the room, I didn't say that, I was thinking that in my mind, everyone else in the room went, what's this shit? Or it was like the one hip hop song that I heard that I actually liked. Everyone else around me who actually liked hip hop didn't like that song. Which it was always stuck with me. What is it about that song? Maybe that song's got kind of a rock basis to it. It's got a guitar solo in it, I know that. But that wasn't the reason I liked it. Anyway, my point is that I like some rap and hip hop, but I don't like a lot of it. And even now, the names that you get, sometimes I'll listen to songs. Like, the thing is, if I hear an artist mentioned again and again, or a song mentioned, I go out of my way to listen to it, even modern stuff, because I don't want to feel like I'm missing something. I think, well, if so many people are talking about this person. And so Kendrick Lamar, I hear people talking about him a lot. And over the last kind of 5 or more years, I've kind of dipped in and out and listened to some of his stuff. And some of his stuff I thought, actually, yeah, that's interesting. I quite like that. But not enough to listen to it more than once. But just as you probably maybe know, in the last couple of months, is that song he released, Not Like Us, I think is what it's called, which is like his beef with Drake. And so finally, after hearing this being referenced and talked about on here, there, and everywhere, I listened to it. And I thought the song is absolute shit. It's in every aspect. The production sounds tinny and cheap, almost like a novelty song, like a joke song, kind of. And then the way he's singing, he's like singing with his accent, because I've heard other songs and he doesn't sound like that. He sounds more normal. But he's kind of singing this like a parrot. I don't know what he's doing. Maybe there's a reason for that. I don't know the whole history and whatnot of the genesis of the problem between him and the other guy. But my point is this song being referenced and talked about, and then just the other day I saw a video of him playing live at the Staples Center in LA, and he was playing that song live, and the crowd was going mental and singing along. And I just think, well, maybe it's just I'm too old, but then, yeah, I don't know. And that extends to hip hop more broadly. Is that a lot of times I'll listen to songs and I don't get it. And it's not about the lyrical content, or they're singing about this, or that doesn't bother me. I don't give a shit what people sing about. If they're singing about negative stuff or not, because a lot of the other metal, heavy metal I've listened to over the years sings about rubbish, and the lyrical content really, really doesn't bother me. It's more about the production and the beats they use and their delivery, and overwhelmingly on all those fronts, I just find it boring. Yeah, that's the thing, is it's boring. Of course, I can admit and accept that's just me, because I hear people, like I just said, talking about that song, the Kendrick Lamar song. People talking about the stuff like how much they love it and how it makes them feel, and I was saying, well, that's how I feel about other music. So obviously, it's a personal thing. But it's because I've been thinking about that a lot recently. Like, what is it about certain kinds of music that can? Because there's other music I haven't liked, and they've come around on. Like I've said this before. Electronic music. When I was young, I hated electronic music, and a lot of that was kind of ideological. Like I was like, well, if a music doesn't have real instruments, it's not real music, and blah blah. But I've changed 180 degrees on that, and there's a lot of electronic artists and music that I absolutely love and listen to as much as anything else. And then kind of oldest, like easy listening stuff, like shit my parents used to listen to when I was a kid. Like, I love a lot of that stuff. I've talked about a lot of it on here. And then even stuff like country music. And the country music I'm still kind of a bit iffy on, but there's a lot of kind of classic country, like older country music that I listen to now, and I get it. I can see why people like it. There's a real earthiness or rawness or realness to some of that music. Some of the modern stuff I listen to that sounds as overproduced as pop music, I don't really get. And I wouldn't say I connect to it. But anyway, my point is that a lot of music I kind of have evolved over time. But with hip hop, there's songs here and there I like through the years. But then just as a whole. But anyway, so I have never really, of course I've listened to this side of the album, but I've never really thought much of it. It's kind of, I think the singles of this one was Ghetto Music and The Way You Move. Now, The Way You Move, I think that was actually a relatively big single, wasn't it? That's got, what's that guy's name? I think his name's Sleepy Jackson, who does it kind of, the vocal melody. But the rest of this, just looking through it, there's nothing else that kind of stands out. A lot of interludes you can see there, as seems to be a big thing with hip-hop albums, interludes. I remember in Eminem, I listened to Eminem's old albums, again, back a long time ago. And for someone who didn't listen to a lot of hip-hop albums, I was like, why are there so many goddamn interludes and like little jokes and skits in between the songs? But that seems to be a thing in rap music. Now, this one, I think this is a pretty brilliant album, his side, The Love Below, Andre 3000's. And like I said, I typically don't like rap hip-hop music, but for me to actually go out and purchase this back when I did 20 some years ago means I must have really liked it a lot. So it has this kind of what do you call that? Cardboard slipcase type thing. I'm not sure what we call that. I've talked about it before. And then you got the booklet, which of course gets stuck on the bloody little tab, as it always does. I'll try and pull that out. No, oops, sorry, I'm covering the camera. I'll go. Boink. This part, while I'm trying to get this out, this part with the CDs set, I've talked about this before as well. It's one of those hinged kind of swinging, what do you want to call it, trays, and it's completely broken. Because look, you'll try and do it, and it's, see, it's completely, this is the issue, see? It snaps along this very thin line of plastic that connects up with this part. It always just kind of eventually breaks because the hinge is so weak that it doesn't, you know, it doesn't work properly, and it's broken, so. But it's still holding the CDs in, so I should be thankful for that, because so many times that these style of trays, dual case, are really weak and the CDs fall out and slide around the place. But here we have Speakerboxxx, and on the other side we have the Love Below. So we could have got a red focus theme versus the pink focus theme. And there we have, sitting on a bunch of speakers, Speakerboxxx, and his vinyl. Try and put that back in. Now it's all warped. Look at that. You see it's like kind of bowing up. Go down, you. Go. So the booklet, let's have a look. There's him in Paris, France. Paris. There's him having a picnic with his family, imagined family. And then you've got the lyrics. There's him as a, what do you call that? Like kind of a, what's the name of the guy? Half bull, half man. What? Man, kind of thing. What's the Greek mythological creature? Minotaur? The Minotaur's the other way, isn't it? That's the bull head with the human body. Okay, there's their albums. Equine. Produced by Antonio L.A. Reid. He his name popped up a lot of those kind of pop, R&B, hip hop albums released on major labels. I think, is it with Arista? In this area, who was the other person who worked with L.A. Reid a lot? I think Pink did. But I remember a lot of interviews, artists would reference him as, oh, he said this, or he did that, or he helped me a lot. Or Pitfall Kennels versus, was that Lava? No, not Posters. So I assume these are actual things. So he's selling these kind of psychedelic, kind of 70s style art posters, because there's a email, you've seen your order there, and they're $65 US each. That's not cheap. And then Big Boy's got a pit bull terrier kennel, which I think is true, with his brother by the looks of it, Antoine and James Patton. Breeders of the real American Pit Bull Terrier. And they've got a website and a phone number you can even call them on in Fayetteville, Georgia. Pit Bull Terriers have been in the news a lot. They're always in the bloody news, aren't they? Anytime there's a dog attack, it's always one of those, or similar type dogs. I don't get why someone would want to have that dog as a pet, especially if you had children. So many times over the years, there's been stories in the news about family pit bull, lived with a family, was trained, and it fucking ripped some kid's face off in the backyard. Like, when there's so many other breeds of dogs, which are more, nicer temperaments and more suited to be around families and children and don't have that kind of aggression, why would you choose to have a pit bull? The only reason it can be is because you're trying to, it's like almost like a compensation, like you're trying to make up for some sort of, either trying to kind of project your own aggression, like, hey, look at me, I'm a tough guy, and look at my dog. I've got a dog that can literally kill me and you, aren't I tough? Or you're kind of, you feel insecure in yourself, and so the dog fills that void. But to have that dog around children, like, I know, and maybe people watching this will go, oh no, it's the person, not the dog. It's the person who trains. Well, if there is a dog that needs such specialist training, and if it doesn't receive it, it has the risk of tearing you limb from limb. Why not just get another dog that doesn't require such intense, rigorous training? Anyway. And then, yeah. Okay. And then here's his side. As you can see, a lot more stereotypical hip hop. Him, what's that? A Cadillac or something? I don't know what car has those kinds of hubcaps. Him with his kid wearing an expensive jacket. Him with some pretty girls at a strip club, or supposed to be a strip club. Well, when I say they're pretty girls, are they pretty? Well, maybe 2 out of 3. Him wearing a suit and smoking I believe, what is called a blunt. Not that I know, not that we have those in New Zealand, but I've seen them on and heard them spoken of. And him sitting on a peacock throne, like the Shah of Iran. So going back to this one, so looking at the track listing for The Love Below. So like I said, it kind of has these intros and interludes and whatnot, but the great songs on this, Happy Valentine's Day, super catchy and bouncy. Spread, a little bit different, but quite fast moving, quite fast paced. Prototype. Now, I love that song. And that's kind of one of the songs that made me buy this originally back 20 years ago. And I've kind of, I remember actually, I won't tell a too personal story, but I was under the influence of a certain substances, and I was in my car, not driving. It was a long story, but this song came on the radio, like the radio, FM radio. And I remember it kind of affected me a lot more than it would have if I was ostensibly sober. But anyway, a great song. She Lives in My Lap. That's okay. That's got a Rosario Dawson. It's got a female guest vocalist on that one. Then Hey Ya, I talked about that. Roses was the other single. Quite a good song, quite catchy. Bit of a silly chorus, talking about poo-poo and all that kind of stuff. Behold a Lady, another great catchy song. I was just humming that to myself just before. Behold. Pink and Blue, Love and War. I could take or leave those. She's Alive. That's kind of a song about his mother, and then it has a kind of a sample or vocal recordings of his mother talking throughout the song. But you know what I like about that? That could veer into cheesiness quite easily, that kind of song, especially using. But the way that he takes the recording, or whoever did the recording of his mother, works really well, because the recording quality of it sounds like it's almost done like on she's talking through a telephone, or like on a very kind of low quality dictaphone. So there's kind of some graininess to it, some realness to it. And then also she's talking. It's not like she's reading a script. It's like someone's asked her some questions and she's just recounting this experience and talking about what she felt about this thing or that person. And I appreciate that. Andre 3000 does this kind of falsetto throughout it. A boy to raise from a young age, no help from him, but she's alive. And then the last part, so he does that throughout the song. Then in the last pass, his voice kind of breaks. So he breaks out of the falsetto into a deeper voice. And I always thought, was he kind of, was it kind of symbolic of him going from a child to a man, or her role in that? Anyway, great song. And then the last few songs is that one there. The piano is done by Nora Jones. I didn't actually know that. I only realized that recently. I never really. And then there's the last song, which says Incomplete. which he's talking. It starts off with him talking about something. Anyway, there's this. That's got a really interesting beat and kind of quite again quite psychedelic, kind of like acidish. It's like a squeaky, like weird thing. I don't even know how they achieved it. I'm sure it's done quite easily. When I listen to it, yeah. And that's kind of something that I guess why I like this album, why I always liked Outkast a little bit more, is that they don't just go to the tropes and the stereotypes of hip hop and hip hop production and vocals. They weren't scared to kind of try different and new ways of doing things, and all the better for it. You know, some of the stuff sounds so original and so different from anything else happening at that time, and even now, 20 some years later, it still sounds to me interesting. I want to listen to it. I think about, you know, the sounds that are happening and why they chose that or why they didn't choose that. So I'm not saying the other side, Speakerboxxx, is bad or anything. It's just in comparison to The Love Below, I think it kind of, it is a bit stereotypical. Whereas the Love Below is a lot more original and different, and yeah. Anyway, I've been talking for 26 minutes, so I'm not going to show the other album I was going to show. Maybe I'll talk about the other one another time. So one whole video on Outkast. But it deserves it. It's a great album. And definitely worth a listen. Even if you don't like hip hop and rap, I think it's worth a listen. Because like I said, I don't particularly like hip hop and rap. It's not that I don't like it, it's just that a lot of it doesn't do anything for me. Jesus, this is annoying, trying to put this thing back together. Anyway, we'll leave it there. Thank you for watching.